Welcome to Wandering the Wild Mess with Heather Morgan. I am so happy that you're here. I have some exciting conversations to be had today, and I want to talk about something we can all relate to, and that's really when you know something is no longer meant for you, you know it's probably not going to work out, you know that things are falling apart, everything's crumbling, but you're just hanging on as long as you can to the things that are true, that you know. And there becomes a time when it can no longer be your life, and you just have to go about it. And I know that we talked about this earlier with Cade. I got some additional perspective from a man on what this really feels like. So if you haven't listened to that episode, make sure to go back. But today I'm bringing on my first female guest, and we're going to talk more about that starting over, divorce, losing your whole identity that you wrapped up in that person for so many years, and what that feels like from someone that has a different point of view and a different experience than I do. And I think it's really important to be able to look at things through everyone's lens. And so I'm bringing on Leah Wade. Welcome, Leah.
Thank you. First, I do want to say thank you. Thank you very much for having me. This is so refreshing and nice.
She's on. And Leah and I had kind of a similar story. Like, she just moved to Nashville, and so it's funny because we talked about Cade after the divorce moving to Nashville. Now, you took a little while, but you were out here all the time.
I was part-time since 2022, and I've been full-time since August.
Yeah. So I feel like Nashville is definitely a place to feel like you can kind of start over a little bit.
Yeah.
Because I feel like a lot of people here are chasing dreams or starting their life over or trying to find something while they're lost in the mess, literally. A lot of lost souls. So we're going to get into it. Now, when I met Leah, I knew we were both divorced, and I talked about this with the episode with Cade. Like, when I meet people that have been divorced in Nashville, there's a handful of us. I am immediately drawn because it's just like somebody else that understands what a difficult process it is, how much of a life quake it is. And you and I knew you were divorced, but I know your story is so much different than mine. So I would love to kind of like, let's take back to just the beginning of what divorce kind of starting over looked like for you the first time.
Yeah, unfortunately, I've been divorced twice, which they do pretty much play into each other. I mean, one wouldn't have happened without the other, but they make sense together. I never in a million years thought that I would get a divorce, ever. Never. My parents aren't divorced. None of my grandparents got divorced. My family is very traditional on both sides. I think I have maybe one or two cousins that got divorced. So it is just, when you stick, you stick. And so whenever I was faced with divorce,
faced with it. So we can go into that, like faced with it. Like, how did that whole thing come? Because how long were you with him before?
It was our 10-year anniversary whenever he told me he did not want to be with me anymore.
And did that feel, so I talked about writing on the wall, but in that instance with that, did you, looking back, because I know sometimes when you're in it, you're like, there was things, but like, did it feel like writing was on the wall, or did it feel like out of left field?
It still felt like out of left field. I mean, our relationship problems that we had were very normal relationship problems. They weren't anything extraordinary. We had not had any, like, if this doesn't change, we're going to have to go separate ways. He literally... So he gave me a porch swing for our 10-year anniversary, which I had been asking for a porch swing for, I don't know, like our whole marriage.
So you're like, 10 years of porch swing, everything's perfect.
Well, apparently I didn't have the right reaction. And I wasn't as excited as he wanted me to be. I don't remember if I was or wasn't. I couldn't tell you. But that triggered an anxiety attack for him where he just started to word vomit. And I say it was on our 10-year anniversary. Our anniversary was on February 15th. So this was Valentine's Day. We were leaving the next day for our 10-year anniversary in New Orleans, Louisiana. And so it was technically the day before. Anyway, he just started telling me how much he couldn't stand me. And we had never fought like this before. Like, of course we had fought.
Yeah.
But this wasn't normal. Like, this was, our children were more in the playroom next door. And he was just saying things that for the first time ever in our marriage, I told him, I said, you have to leave. Like, you have to leave the house because in my mind, I was thinking, okay, he's overwhelmed, he's stressed out, he's dumping it on me. He needs to step away, he needs to clear his mind and come back. And that's not what ended up happening. But but at the time, that's what I thought. I mean, I was so caught off guard. I remember sitting on the couch and I had my phone in my hand and I had a group text with my girlfriends and we were talking about what our husbands had done for us for Valentine's Day. And they knew him really well. We had vacation together and everything. And so I said, y'all, he just told me he can't stand me. And I had to ask him to leave. And they were like, what? What are you talking about? Everyone was caught off guard. No one would I'm not a betting woman, but if I had been a betting woman, I would have bet on divorce was not in my future. Was I living?
Like at that point, you were just like, this is really weird, but like, we're not getting,
even at
you didn't
that
even
point,
think
like
divorce.
even with him saying, don't want you, it was like, he's just having a moment. He's just having a moment. Like he'll get over it. I mean, that's marriage. You have your bad days. I had no idea what had been hiding in the background, and I didn't know for months to come. But nobody knew.
So you're sitting there and you're like, but this is like, you've known this man for over 10 years and you're like, this feels out of left field, but are you thinking like was there other things in the background, like with his stress levels that would make him just react that way suddenly?
Yes.
You thought you were kind of like trying to connect the dots, like maybe he's overworked, maybe this, maybe that.
For sure. We had always owned our own businesses and he had worked for himself and he prided himself in that. And he still was technically working for himself, but he was learning his dad's business, which was an international business. And so he had to work all hours of the day, which also made it normal for me to be like, oh, he's going to another city in the middle of the night. That's what he has to do for work. Not thinking he could be doing something else. It never crossed my mind. Never.
I feel that. I think it's wild when people are just you kind of just have this life set. You don't even consider life any different than it's always been. So when did it switch? So now, your friends all know, you're like, I don't know, he's just really stressed with work.
I had set a couple of like strong boundaries that if he broke these boundaries or if he didn't follow through with certain things, that there was no going back. One of them was, if you tell our kids that you're moving out of the house, there's a brokenness that will never be repaired on their end.
I agree.
And they don't deserve that. They don't deserve for us to have a bad day and they be a part of it. So you and I can keep it between us, but the moment you brought them into it, now things are serious.
So at this point, you have 2 boys, right?
I did. I have 2 boys. One was 10, one was 5 at the time. And they didn't know any different either. I mean, like everyone, like our friends were still married to each other. We really didn't have any friends that were divorced yet. We got really married young. Most of our friends did too. And so we were kind of in the trend of the front of the divorces. Of course, there were more to follow. Yeah. But we were kind of on the trend of the front.
You guys set the trend.
Mm-hmm. Well, kind of. We had a few others, but
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that was one thing. Like, I remember he had a laundry basket, and he, like, put stuff in the laundry basket, and he was going to stay with another friend of ours, and I was like, if you walk out of this house like that, and he was perfectly fine with it.
So was he just it seems like, and I'm making assumptions that he was like, because we haven't talked about this, even though, just so you know, y'all, we haven't went down the deep dive story of it. But, like, were you thinking, like, okay, he's just being weird, but, like, he didn't seem to care anymore? Like, did he ever apologize? He was just checked out. But in the moment, you just didn't think he was checked out. You thought he was stressed?
Yeah, I really thought he would get over it. And I never in a million years thought he would cheat, for sure. And then, and neither did our friends. But
so were your friends? Because that's a question people ask. Because remember, like, they go, well, do you think he's cheating? Like, did they ask that? Or did no one even assume that he would?
The conversations went like this. Man, he sure is acting like he's cheating, but he would never cheat. Mm-hmm. Like, no, he would never cheat.
Because he didn't have that kind of a character, would you say? Or,
well,
I mean,
yes, he did. But we had 10 years of just like normal family.
Yeah.
Like, why all of a sudden would that change?
Mm-hmm.
And yes, his job had technically changed 2 years before, but it wasn't like he had coworkers that he could have been commingling with or anything. It was very male dominated. It just didn't make sense. And we did go to therapy.
Okay, so after the blowout, around your anniversary. Then you're kind of just doing this dance, and then you convince him to go to therapy because he feels like he's already checked out.
I didn't have to convince him.
He wanted
offered.
to go. Oh, so it's kind of like back and forth. Do you think he's trying to figure out if he's really leaving?
Nah, he was covering his butt. But at the time,
the kids were involved, do you think?
Money. Money. We had, it's called a covenant marriage in the state of Louisiana. And if you don't follow certain protocol, there's just, like, it's harder for you to actually get a divorce. But at the time, I didn't, again, like,
you didn't connect
fully
the dots.
trusted him. And so I thought, okay, like, he means this. We were paying a lot of money to a Christian therapist. We were seeing her twice a week. And she told me, she said, I would never condone this. I'm not telling you to do this, but have you ever gone through his phone? And I was like, no. Like, why? That's my husband. Like, why would I go through his phone? He doesn't have any friends.
Like, they're all our friends.
Yeah,
we're all
exactly.
together.
Like,
yeah.
there's nothing that he doesn't, that I don't know. I was very wrong. I was very, very wrong. But it started to trickle in. At first, I found out that he was having an emotional affair with one of my friends, and I thought that was it. Like, I really thought that
was she in the group
secret.
text?
You know, she wasn't.
Okay.
But it was same group of girlfriends.
Yeah,
she was just a little, like, one more step extended. So she wasn't in the tight inner circle. But she had borrowed my clothes.
More than that.
Yeah,
More than
yeah.
clothes.
I tortured that poor girl once I found out.
Because you were so, like...
I mean, I was so broken. I was so broken, Heather.
Like you didn't mean to. Like, you started blaming her because that happens a lot.
I didn't blame her. I wanted to know every detail of everything.
So you were just torturing her with a million questions. Like, what? How did he reach you out?
And then also
like,
kind of like putting my grieving on her. And I felt like she deserved it.
Yeah, at that time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And look, even at the time, because I was really broken at the time.
So you find out about the emotional first, and then you go to the girl.
Well,
and
when I brought it to his attention, I thought I was really nervous. And I was like, oh, I'm about to drop a bomb. Because I went to her first, and I confirmed everything. And
she just flat out admitted it, though. Mm-hmm. Okay,
yeah.
well, let's give her credit, too.
There had not been any actual physical cheating. It was very emotional. It was very emotional in the sense that it was all day long, every day, texting each other and talking. Yeah, full on, like, type of relationship building.
No.
She just, in her mind, she was being a good enough friend because she wasn't crossing the line and sleeping with him. That's a whole other thing.
Yeah, that's a whole other story. Yeah,
it's a whole other thing we could go off on.
I can't. I've been in. Yeah, no. He's
but I thought this is heavy, so
Yeah.
I thought this is it. Like, we figured it out.
Yeah.
The therapist was right. And so I bring it to his attention, and I said, I spoke to so and so. And I know what's been going on. And his immediate reaction to me was, oh my gosh, I can't imagine how stressful that was for her for you to do. And that was another aha moment. So I had an aha moment when he left, but I still was giving him grace. I should have at that moment said, this marriage is over.
Are you still in love with him at the moment? Is that what it is? Like, when you think back now, because
No. Like, did I love him? Wholeheartedly. But was I in love with him? No.
So you just didn't want to change your life. Like, is that the part? Like, you were just so scared to, like, change what was?
No. No and yes.
Yeah.
So no, because I loved my family and I had built something and I built it with him and I saw him as a partner. I saw him as my team member.
Yeah.
So the feelings of, like, being in love or, the sexual wannabes, the butterflies, to me were not necessary.
Yeah. And I feel like because
we had
your
so
experience
much
is
more.
different too, like being a mother and having children. I feel like that does add another level of dynamic where you're like, it's not just you doing what's best for you. It's like, what's best for my family.
A unit, yeah.
And you're all together and you're like, I don't want to break that family unit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I never wanted my children to have to be a 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off or every other weekend family. Like, I actually remember I had one aunt and uncle who split and watching my cousins go back and forth and just being, I'll never do that to my children. So I had made a commitment to myself. The thing is with relationships, though, is that you can only control yourself.
Yes.
You cannot control both sides. So this was God telling me, ma'am, turn back around and look at yourself because you can't control it all. I wasn't a control freak, but I certainly never considered that he had his own wants and desires and would leave me.
Yeah. No, that
outside
hits
of
because
the family that we had built.
But I think that's a big one, and that's just hitting me, like, because a lot of men listen to the podcast, and that's a moment of like sometimes women. I know a lot of my friends that have children, and they talk about like they want the man to help support with different things, and there's so much that goes into creating a family, and there should definitely be two people parenting.
Yeah.
But I think that's something that probably it kind of makes me sad because sometimes you get wrapped up in life, and you're like, I didn't realize that there was wants and needs that I wasn't considering in my partnership. I wanted to keep this family unit, and I'm focusing on the children and doing that right. But maybe this is falling away with the partnership.
You're 100% right. And whenever he brought originally to me that he was so unhappy, I was 32 at the time. I had at 30 decided to start knocking some things off my own bucket list because it had always kind of been about his businesses, his hobbies, and me raising babies and supporting him. I took a trip to South Beach for my 30th birthday with some girlfriends, and I decided to enter a bodybuilding contest.
I have seen that. You crushed that.
Well,
amazing.
I didn't at first. I got last place. My first show, I got dead last.
Well, the pictures I've seen, you did amazing.
He told me when he said that he hated me that he was very resentful of the time that I spent with preparing for bodybuilding, which it is a full-time gig. We did own gyms, by the way, so it did make sense with our lifestyle. But I was prepping for nationals to get my pro card at the time. I dropped everything. Everything dropped the moment, because in my mind, exactly what you just said is what I thought. I need to reprioritize, show this man that he is as important as he is to me, because I haven't been showing it, and we'll be okay.
Yeah.
Like, we'll be fine. Again, you can't control the other person. So I had no idea that all the things he had hidden and that had been going on for a long time, but I only knew what I knew, and so I was trying to be the best partner that I could be. Long story short, the therapist ended up firing us. She said, I'm not, and this went over, let's see.
She's like,
February to, I moved out of the house, I think in September or October. I think October. So from that time period, it was just like survivor mode, like I don't even know how to, I wasn't eating. I was literally just getting my kids up, getting them ready for, like, I was taking care of them, nothing for myself, and trying to save my marriage. That was my whole life.
So what were you doing to try to save the marriage? So he's checked out, you know that kind of, but you're like, I got to save it. It's almost survival mode of, this is my family, this is my unit. How do I keep it all intact?
That's exactly what I was doing. And it was just whatever. I mean, we were in therapy at the time, and so it was just whatever she suggested, whatever she said. He still was not living at home. He didn't mind having physical contact with me, though, during the separation.
So did you think that would kind of maybe bring it back together? Because that's totally different from my experience. Because I was just like, we never did the back and forth. But I hear from a lot of like women, and there's still that back and forth.
There really wasn't back and forth. I don't think he ever intended on getting back with me, but he wanted to have sex with me. And what I learned, there was a lot that I learned, but what I learned on the back end is that there was no love for me. I don't know how long there hadn't been love for me, but there was no love for me. And so the intimacy, if you want to call it intimacy, the intimacy that was had during the time was he was baiting me for some other things that he had going on in his life. Or he was using me as bait for other things in his life.
So if you feel like looking back, it was like a whole manipulation play.
Completely manipulated me. Completely. And what he wanted is he wanted to break me so far down that then the secrets and the lies that did come out that he had been hiding, I was a lunatic and I was crazy. Like, look at her. She's suicidal. Y'all really...
So did you feel that? Did you get to points where you felt that low?
I never wanted to kill myself.
That's good.
But I don't know how to explain it. It was like living in la la land. Like, my head was never attached to my body during that time.
I definitely, I relate to that because I think that's a key thing. And even when we and Kate talked about it, like so many people don't realize like there's no way to explain going through a divorce.
I made decisions during that time that Leah would never make.
Same.
He had requests, like sexual requests during that time that were way outside of my moral standard. And I said, okay, fine.
So you really thought that Leah at the time thought this is what I do to save my marriage. I just put all my cards on the table, whatever.
Yeah.
And you kind of thought, now looking back, you realize it was more just kind of manipulating the situation. But in the moment, you felt like it really had a shot at making it better.
I don't know if I really thought I was going to make it better. I think some of it, I'm going to go ahead and be really honest. I'm going to say I think some of it was me. It was a guilt thing for me. Like, I haven't been a good enough wife over the last 10 years. Let me give back to you what you feel like I had taken from you.
No, that one really hits, and I think that's a big piece. And now I see it on both sides, right? Like, because I had that hit, and it was less about those kinds of things, but more about like, okay, just take whatever you want, kind of making him really cushy with financially, I know, like more set for him, right? Because I felt guilty that I was leaving.
Yeah, I didn't ask for anything in the divorce.
Move that way because you feel guilty. Like we self-abandon in those moments.
Self-abandon is the perfect description because I self-abandoned myself in every way possible. Every way possible. And so when the therapist said, I'm done with y'all, at the time, this is embarrassing, but very true. Like at the time, I was so incredibly angry with her because she turned to him. I remember she walked to the room. He had his head in my lap. And she walked in and she sat down. She said, "That's it, I'm done. I'm not doing this anymore with y'all." And I went, "Excuse me?" And she goes, "That's it." She said, "I want him to not see you or speak to you for 2 weeks, and you will let him take the boys." 'Cause I had not let him take, the boys had stayed with me the whole time. She said, "You will let him take the boys for the weekend." And I said, "You are not going to control my life. You are not going to dictate what happens in my marriage." And she goes, "Oh, yes, I am." And I stood up and I threw pillows at her. I threw pillows off the couch at her. I was so mad and I was sobbing, crying because I knew that if he had that 2 weeks away from me, I would never be able to get my family back. And she also required that I be there at 7 a.m. every morning. I think she thought I was suicidal. I actually wasn't, but I could understand. I was down to 102 pounds. I could totally understand where somebody on the outside looking in would think it. I wasn't functioning like a normal person at all. And she knew I was very honest with the therapist about all the weird sexual stuff he had requested. And he put me in some very unsafe situations. So that was another aha moment for me. This was all a series of acceptance.
You were just, and that, yeah. And you shared that one piece about that woman that was talking about why did you finally let go, right? And it is like those little things, and then tell something really big that they haven't already prepped you for, or you haven't already prepped for. And this isn't even just in manipulation. This is just in life. Like as little things happen, you kind of accept more and more. And that's why boundaries, you really can't be flexible with them.
I would have never said I was in an abusive relationship until I was out of it. I never considered, in fact, people came to us for advice, like marriage advice.
Well, I think that's, me and my ex-husband didn't have that level of a bad relationship, but definitely people thought we were the golden children. So I think it goes back to not golden children, but like a good example of a marriage, best friends, which we were in a lot of ways, But I do think that kind of just goes to show that you really don't know what's happening. And you had your rose-colored glasses on.
Oh, so much. So it didn't matter how big. I think a big boom wasn't going to actually burst my bubble. It was the little things that burst my bubble and made me have to accept that he was really leaving me, because the big one, like I said, I was like, oh, he's just having a moment. He'll be okay. But the little stuff proved to me he does not love you. Him not being protective. Him leaving leaving the boys when I said, if you do this, it's going to do X, Y, and Z. And then there were your stereotypical abusive relationship issue things that happen, like the cheating and stuff like that. But that's not those are not the things that defined my moments, actually.
Which is crazy because you look at it now and you're like, why did you even want to stay? You know what I mean? And sometimes I know people ask women that, and it's an identity. Not an evict and change, but yeah, it's the identity. Like,
my whole identity was being his wife and those boys' mom.
And that's why people stay in things that they know aren't meant for them. It's like you've wrapped. And I realize even in my own shift is nothing is harder to change than the grip you have on your identity. When you believe something's true about yourself, you're like, no, I'm not letting it go, because it feels like it's you. Even if the surrounding things are not, they're killing you slowly, literally.
Well, I know I've always had a pride issue, and I'm quite stubborn, but I know it was a pride thing for me that subconsciously, I built this. I built who I am. I built these boys. Like I helped build this life. I deserve to get to continue to be a part of it. That is so incredibly wrong. And I tell everyone that I do kind of tell my story to, I am so much better of a person because it's happened to me. I would be sitting in a fancy living room somewhere right now, bragging about my drapes and what car I was driving if he had not burst my bubble. So I don't know. Why did it have to be so traumatic? I don't know. I'll talk to God about that later.
Yeah.
But I am so thankful that it brought me back to who I really am.
Yeah, and I think that's a key piece, and it's crazy when you tell your story. I think about my ex-husband saying the same thing, because when I left, and because I really felt like, not that he didn't love me, but that the anger that he had towards me for leaving was more about my disruption of our life and the life we built than it really was about but me, you know, like, not that he didn't, you know, but it's really a lot less about the other person. And this is even breakups, but truly in a divorce, it's, I think, a lot less about the other person and more so just about the life that you've built with them and just the routine. Like, everything has to go.
Completely. And you couldn't have convinced me at the time that I was doing anything wrong. The man was not good to me. He did some terrible things to me. But at the same time, I wasn't loving him the way that he deserved to be loved. Was he, as a man, doing things to lead me in the right direction or to cultivate or build the intimacy? No, he wasn't. But we're not, like, that's not what we're here for. I am here, sitting here today, a much better person because of it. Yes, I did end up getting married again. That was because
yeah. So how does that jump happen? Do
because
you feel like
he is a terrible ex-husband, and we ended up in such bad custody battles. And I learned how terrible the family court system really is. They are not there for your children. But I was told by a crappy attorney that only one I could afford. It literally was like out of a movie. He had like paper stacked up on the floor, and I'm like
here we
just
are,
hoping
Lawyer
the check
Jim.
that I write him doesn't bounce. But he told me, he said, I had a boyfriend at the time, and he had just bought a house, and like he kind of looked, he wasn't stable, but he kind of looked stable
on paper.
Yeah. And he was like, why don't you marry the guy? And I was like, because I don't want to get married for the wrong reasons. And he goes, well, I'm gonna tell you right now, when you show up to court, they're gonna see him because my ex got remarried right away. Like, I barely moved out of the house.
Was it the emotional affair girl?
No, it was another girl. It was a CrossFit girl. And she is his third wife. I was his second wife. But he said, he goes, they look really stable. And the court only cares about the financial stability because they want to make sure that those children don't end up in the system and the government's not paying for those children. So either you marry the guy you're with or just know you're going to probably lose some of your custody because the guy's coming after you. Like, he's coming and you don't have any money to fight him. So anyway, that's how I ended up. I paid for the wedding. I paid for the divorce. And, you know, I told him to,
so the boyfriend just went along with it though? Like, hold on.
He wanted to get married. But
had he been married before?
No, he was young and he was dumb. And
he's just like, sure, you want to get custody of your kids? Let's get married.
I think for him, he was at that point in his life where I think he was like 27 or so at the time. I don't remember how, something like that. Anyway, I think he was at that point in his life where he just thought, I'm supposed to get married now.
Mm-hmm. A lot
also,
of people.
he really liked the idea of splitting bills. Like, it would make his life a lot better if he didn't have to pay his $800 car note by himself.
So he's like, so if I do this, then you're paying half the bills.
He had already asked me to marry him. I just didn't intend on actually marrying him.
I mean, not laughing for the poor guy.
No. Okay, so him and I have a great relationship, by the way.
That's good. So it didn't work out, but it worked out.
It didn't. And he stayed blocked and out of my life for years. And so it took him going to therapy and having his own thing and reaching out to me that we rebuilt a friendship. It's a very respectful, there's boundaries there. Like, we don't talk every day. We like nothing like that. Yeah. But I'm on good terms with his family and all of the above. I told him, though, because he had a little bit of a gambling and like drinking problem. And I told him, I said, I'm not leaving you just because of that. Like, I'm leaving you because I married you for the wrong reasons, and you deserve to have the love that I'm looking for also. So,
like, how long was that?
The marriage?
Yeah.
We were together from our first date was in November 2014, and I filed for divorce February 2020. So we were together, quite a while, but we got married in 2017. Yeah, 2017.
And what did you feel like was different about that second marriage? Like, did you just feel like you knew from the get-go it wasn't like a long-term play?
He wasn't mature enough. To be a stepfather and to be a husband. I basically mothered him. He didn't have a father figure. His dad had been in and out of prison his whole life. His dad was in prison when I met him. And his mom was very selfish. So, and not a good example. Like, she had full relationships with married men that her son knew about. So he didn't have a good example of what family and relationships and marriage look like. And so I was expecting a lot from him at that age with the little of a life experience in that department to be able to step up and do it all.
So he wasn't really set up for success already. And then you were like, you were doing the best you could. But did you feel like it felt different? Because I'm asking because I haven't been remarried. So I'm like, and obviously I don't want to do it 3 times. I don't
either. I don't want to do it 3 times either. It does weird me out. Like, I'm divorced twice now. I cannot, like, I'm okay with not ever getting legally married again.
Okay.
Because I'm not going to have more children. And so I could have a partner for life and be fine with it being that way.
But in the second marriage, because that's what I'm thinking, like, for me, I would just want the second to be the final. Like, were you hesitant to get a divorce again?
Not at all.
You were like,
I had a completely different outlook on it. It was, I'm not wasting another minute of my life on something I know isn't right.
I've heard that from people. They're like, the divorce goes up, the more marriages you have, and I think it's for that reason.
Like the third, it's 80%.
Well, and I could see that not because, I think it's mostly because the first one, you're so tied to the identity. You're so afraid. You have no idea what's going to be like. Mm-hmm. And even going through it, I have, couples that I know that are hanging on by a thread. And literally what's keeping them there is either the family unit, or just the, financial thing. There's so many reasons that aren't really tied to want to make this marriage work. But once you do it, you're like, I guess we'll just go.
I filed for divorce from him. Well, I told him at Christmas time if he went back to the casino again, that I wasn't, and he wouldn't go to therapy with me, that I wasn't going to continue the marriage. And he did that. He went back to the casino again, and he said, I don't need therapy. You can need therapy, but I don't need therapy. That's what he did. And so I really didn't want to leave. Like, I wanted it to work.
Yeah.
But I knew.
But you knew.
It wasn't going to work.
It wasn't, yeah.
And so I came back. I remember I had a trip in New York. And when I came back, I told my bosses, because it was a work trip, and I was like, I'm going to file whenever I get home. And there were already people in the airport in New York with the hazmat suits on, because it was February 2020. If I had not left him when I did, I probably would still be with him right now. Because financially, I don't think that I would have been confident enough because I lost my job during COVID. I was able to tuck my tail for the first time, because I didn't do it in my first divorce. I did not tuck my tail. I did not let my parents step in and help me financially. My grandmother offered me money for an attorney, and then I paid her back. So I decided with the second, Leah, let's be smart. You've already lived half your life. Like, don't waste any more time. So I told my parents, I said, I need to leave him, and will y'all help me? If I had not done that, I'd have been stuck.
Stuck. I mean, or at least wasted more time until things settled down again, right? Like,
well, and my boys were watching an unhealthy relationship.
Yeah, that's fair.
It wasn't traumatic, but it wasn't healthy.
Yeah.
And
they're
they were coming into their, teenage years and getting older, and that's their formative years whenever they learn how to treat women. And I was not going to be any more of a bad example than I already had been.
Yeah, which I think that's fair. So now you leave the second marriage, and this is 2020, and you're like, okay, what am I doing? But you still have back and forth going because you have kids,
well,
right?
when I
With the
left him,
first one.
I felt great. I was
You're like, oh.
well, no, because I was like, I have a great job, and then I was able to buy a home, and I did it all before COVID happened. So, like, all these great things were happening. I was like, finally, I'm like getting my feet underneath me, like finally. And then COVID happened, and I lost my job, and until I moved here. So, how many years is that? Like almost 6 years,
yeah.
5.5 years. I had not found a good job again, one that I could actually like pay the bills with.
Yeah.
So it really was very crappy that I lost that job. But yeah, I felt really good about everything, and then it all crumbled, and it got really bad there for a minute. It got really bad, and like I said, the ex-husband has kept me in and out of custody court over all the years. When COVID happened, he did it again, and the oldest son. And I don't ever talk about this. I think I'm kind of actually being really vulnerable right now. But the oldest son had decided he didn't want to be with me anymore. But Dad and I don't co-parent at all. I'm not allowed to text him, not allowed to call him. We can't. Like if let's say there's a school function, if they're on his time and I show up to the school function, nobody speaks to me. They don't. It's almost like being dead and like overlooking like your life playing out in front of you, but you're not there. So when son decided that he didn't want to be with me anymore, that meant I really was losing him. Like it wasn't like, oh, well, he just won't sleep at my house. No, hasn't spoke to me in 6 years.
Oh my God.
So, but I was faced with lose both of them legally or agree that the older one didn't have to come to my house anymore. And so I settled and I agreed. And I have an amazing relationship with my younger son.
I was going to say, it looks like you and your younger son.
Yeah, we have a great... Yeah. And the funny thing is that he's more like his dad, and the older one is more like me, like personality-wise. Mm-hmm. And I actually really enjoy... Because Dad screwed me over pretty good. But I actually really enjoy seeing the parts of Dad that I liked. Like the parts of him that I did fall in love with. I see it in my son. And I'm like, wow, that's really cool. Well, and I pointed out to him. Yeah.
Yeah. It reminds you of like why, because you still have your boys out of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that's like two beautiful things happen, like your boys, but then also you became a better human and a mother. And I'm praying for you that your oldest son, like I know that must be so hard, will come back around.
It's the worst. Yeah, it's the worst thing ever. And anyone and everyone always say, they're like, oh, well, one day he'll wake up and he'll realize. And, maybe so. I've still lost all this time and, like, him growing. More importantly, I really worry about his relationships with women. I know he has a heart like mine. Like, his innerness is more like me. But he holds everything in. And so I worry how that translates. He's 21. He's in college. I was 21 whenever I got pregnant with him. So in my head, I have to tell myself, he thinks he's as adult as you thought you were when you started this family. So how's he doing it without mom? Those are the things that bother me. Mm-hmm. Those are the things that bother me. But yeah, like I said, I have a great relationship with my younger son.
And so what about your first ex-husband now? Like, is it still just, he remarried and then it's just been back and forth? Like,
so she's not new wife, obviously. She's actually been his wife longer than I was at this point. But I think we've had one conversation.
Oh, wow.
Over all the years. Yeah, like she will not speak to me. She will not look at me. She hates me. Oh. She thinks I'm this horrible person. I have no idea. I mean, I could sit here and speculate on what kind of narrative he's told her or whatever. But boy, I tell you, she doesn't have any of her own children.
Okay.
And they didn't have any children together. He got a vasectomy after they were dating. But, yeah, so she's told my children, like, y'all are the children that God intended for me.
So that probably isn't your ideal
Somebody
statement.
Who's had biological children understands why that is not cool. So I try to put myself in her shoes that she doesn't have biological children, so she doesn't get it. And I'm thankful, and I've told her this.
I mean, I don't know. I've never had biological children. I can't imagine just trying to take over the role.
She 100% did.
But I do know some people that like the children feel that way, and I'm not saying that's your case, but you know what I mean. But I don't think it's the woman to come in and say it. But I mean, I do know people that I've been raised by, people that weren't their bio, that feel that way about their.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean.
For sure.
But I feel like it's up to the child to
and
make
my
that.
children were and still are, quite attached to her. That's great. It's great.
Yeah, but don't try to take.
The older son has always been very attached to her, which is interesting because he, didn't want to have a relationship with me anymore. But yeah, to answer your question about where we are now, the same exact place we were in 2014. He will not speak to me. He sued me last year. I mean, it's just one thing after another.
That is the ongoing thing, like that where things just come up. And me and my ex don't even have kids. And like we got audited. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. It's like just stuff. And I'm just like from years ago, I was like, oh my gosh, and I haven't even talked to the man in over 3 years. And so it's just weird that you think your divorce is over and then things like continue to come up, even when you don't have kids, but with kids, I feel like you probably.
Well, and I learned a lot when I got divorced. I learned that I didn't know a lot. I lost all of my businesses because I wasn't named on the LLCs. So although I didn't really want to fight for them anyway, it would have been nice to have been able to keep one of my gems as like my income for my family. I had to completely start over because I had no education. I had been married and started baby at 21, and we were entrepreneurs. Like, I had to start over completely at 32 years old with no education in this day and age. And I probably was pretty emotionally immature at the time, too, because I would say I had gotten a little stunted getting married and having kids so young.
Oh, yeah. I definitely feel like you kind of go back because when you talked about like you do things you wouldn't even know. I mean, me moving out to Nashville, I feel like you remember because you were going out. You didn't move here yet, or live here yet. But like I was like going out. I laugh about the crew we had at the beginning, but I feel like I was going out like 3 to 4 nights a week. And I don't even know how I was doing that. Like I don't know
how you afforded it.
Yeah. Gosh, I mean, it was just a lot. Like, I feel like I don't even know how truly, because Nashville's like, but I don't know. It's like, who was that person? Especially now that I've like really like done the inner work and started healing myself. But when you're in that initial shock of like, what am I doing with my life? You're just like doing these random, like you're like, how did I even do that? Why was I doing that? Why was I?
Well, they have the post-divorce hoe thing, which I know you well enough to know that she did not participate in that. I had some sleepovers. I did participate because all of a sudden I found my lady parts again.
You're like, this is a new world. I'm just living in this no, it is a whole new experience. Like, because I had really I met my ex-husband at 21. So same thing. We just didn't like do the baby thing right out the jump. But so I really was in that area. Like I really hadn't, experience a ton of other men, ever. So it was definitely, even just when I mean experience too, it's just even being around them in a way that could be intimate at all.
I had been so used to not like, let's put it simple, not making eye contact with another male. So I always kept myself like in a box when I was married. Like, okay, we're not gonna put ourselves in a bad situation. So don't do that. Also, social media didn't exist whenever I got married. Yes. And then I got divorced in a social media world. And you got to remember, I was coming out of the whole bodybuilding phase too. So I had actually, I was like influencing.
With your bodybuilding,
I was like old school influencing. And so all of a sudden I was getting attention I had never.
That is about because I think about that, and you don't realize like men giving you attention. And when I moved to Nashville, I would sit at the bar alone a lot, and then you'd get like men paying for your meals and all that. And I was like, what the heck? Because I did give eye contact to men, but they were all like, I friend zoned so many people.
I didn't even
because
think
I had a
about
lot
it.
of male friends, like
Yeah.
my ex-husband and his friends were like my best friends. So I'm just like, hey, yeah. And you know some of the guys that are like, I just immediately friend zone a guy because I'd just been a wife. So I was like, yeah, you're my homie. I don't even think
You're
about
my
it like.
homie.
I don't even think about it like that. You know what I mean? So it's been like, that was weird at the beginning. And I still find myself doing that. And it's probably because it's safer, you know, young or
you're
friend
gonna
zone.
go right into wife mode when you meet a guy, which you cannot do.
That has been a thing. That's why I talked about like at the beginning, I really haven't dated. So let's talk about that because when you go from being married when like the apps were a thing, people were no one was DMing you. I had a private social media account, you know, like with people I all knew all of them. No one was DMing me. I wasn't on an app. And then you go into this world where like I'm supposed to sit on a dating app. Like I know a lot of girls that I've met out here are much better at that, but I haven't. You're being someone like me, married, and then you just jumped on them. Like, how was that for you to like get back on the apps and like do that again? Like,
I did not wait. I did do at Tinder was big whenever I first got divorced.
and this is before the second marriage when you first,
yeah, definitely. But Tinder was not my problem, and I don't think I went on any Tinder dates. It was Facebook DMs that were my problem, and that is how I met my second
Really?
husband. My second
Facebook
husband,
DMs, people.
yeah,
Write that down.
Facebook. Well, Facebook dating is probably and I am not a dating app person.
Yeah.
but if you were going to do it, I feel like it is a little.
I've
safer.
heard that, but I haven't
It just
done
seems
it.
a little bit more realistic, and not so like. But
Wait, what does mean? Like cutthroat? Like
the
cutthroat?
men that are like, you didn't answer fast enough. And I'm like, well, I'm sorry, I have a job.
Wow, that is funny because my friend, you know, probably my friend Kelsey, we're going out tonight, and she's like trying to convince me, let me show you who's on Hinge. Like,
No,
but
don't.
why do other women want women on there? Like, I'm like, I can just see from your perspective.
My theory, and go ahead and hate me for this, but my theory with men on dating apps are that they're beta males.
They just want to control. Like
they're okay with the woman controlling them.
Oh, I see. And
that's not what I'm looking for.
Yeah, I don't want that either.
I want a man not only that can build a fire, but I want a man that can build a fire. So the women, but it's just the same way with the women. Like the women typically are very like controlling women. They're like, I have a timeline. We're gonna do this, 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 and this, and the men kind of just fall into place. Majority. That's obviously not. There's obviously exclusions.
Outliers. Yeah.
I have a date tonight with a guy I met on Facebook dating, and he's maybe an exclusion. I don't know.
Really?
We'll
I'm
see.
excited about this.
He's a meathead, but.
That's all right. You did all that. You're perfect scenario. You could get back in, do a new competition.
No.
Figure it out. No,
we're done with that part of our life.
Well,
we're done with not having cheese ever again.
Okay, yeah, that's fair. That's fair. And so with dating, like, do you feel like once you got divorced, did you feel like, were you just dating for fun? Because when I think about it,
No.
I don't know that I would. Like, I never really dated for fun. I just had fun.
I didn't really care to date at all at first. I just wanted to romp.
Okay.
And I was enjoying romping, and in that time I had a couple guys fall in love. But I think it was because I was such a wife.
I think there's two things about this, and I could see this because I've kind of gotten this before. Like some guys kind of fallen in love. And I don't think they say it, but
no,
much.
you know.
But you know, yeah, you know.
They get very attached.
Yeah, like if you wanted to be in that relationship, they'd be like, yes.
Yeah.
I think it's two things. One, you have been a wife, so you kind of go into that like wife mode, and they can feel it because it's like very nurturing and just like loving, and they can kind of see that. And then I think the other thing is the detachment piece. So when you're in that romp phase, you're just thinking about that.
Compartmentalizing.
You're not making them have anything to be afraid of because you're not acting like you want to lock them in.
Right. That's
Because
true.
a lot of men will run from feeling the pressure of the lock-in.
The dating app girl. Mm-hmm. I call it the dating app girl.
No, and that's what that was a whole other episode of just talking about how I've told so many of my friends, like, who cares? Like when they like texting the guy, like, well, why didn't it work? Why didn't you like, you went on one date with him. Who cares what he thinks? Are you going to change your personality over it?
I went on a date last Saturday night with a guy who looked just like Ben Stiller. And he, I swear to you, he had on a bad tweed sport coat and I think the same shoes my principal in high school wore. And he ghosted me afterwards. And I was like cleaning my kitchen a couple days ago and I thought to myself, man, I got ghosted by a Ben Stiller lookalike in a tweed jacket. That should bother me. I don't care.
Yeah, I don't care.
We were not a good fit.
Yeah. And it's like he's saving time, you know?
Yeah.
It's just like it's not gonna, be a thing. I know that's another thing, and we're kind of going off into the dating land, but that's fine. But I think that's another thing, and this ties into just life. So many people are like, well, you need to have this conversation and tell them like you are not interested, and it makes it this big thing. I'm like, I was with a man for over 15 years of my life and I did all that. Like someone that had one day of my time, I'm not giving him a whole notebook like ending.
I'm so glad you said that. I just told a friend yesterday, one thing that I've learned, and it's taken me all this time to learn, is that not everyone deserves my story.
Yeah.
Not everyone deserves that vulnerability, that grit, that honest, because my story is like such a part of who I've become. But if you haven't earned that, you're just going to say I'm crazy. And so you got to learn who deserves it and who doesn't. And no, you do not need to have that conversation. It makes you weird.
Yeah, I think so. I think so. I mean, I know people think it's like a respect thing. For me, it's like, I don't know. It tells me enough. It's just like if I was to text you like, hey, do you want to go out tonight? And you never wrote me back. I'm like, I guess she doesn't.
Exactly.
Like, that's the answer.
The best attitude to have is like 6 hours later, be like, oh, I never heard from her. Like,
yeah, it's just like, and I feel like you build that, especially, I was kind of already that person, but especially after you get divorced, because you're like, things just seem for me, I guess, a little like I'm not going to force anything in my life again. Mm-hmm. I can look back at my marriage and see areas where I was just trying to force things to work and be a certain way, and they were never going to be that way.
Yeah.
Because like you said, it takes two people.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a lot of wasted time and energy that I'm just not going to do again. Like it's not that you don't want to put in the work, but again, it's two people and it will never give you what you want if you're the one like pushing the rock up the mountain alone. At some point, like you need both people strength. And if it's just you, let the rock roll. Just let it go.
Against popular opinion, I've actually been able to, over the years, have a couple of actual true friends with benefits because of that. Because I knew that there wasn't any like real compatibility, that it would be like trying to put, a round peg in a square hole. But we liked each other. We were friends and the chemistry was there and it was somebody I trusted and it was safe. But before that actually happened or before I got to that point in my life, I would say that's not possible. Like somebody wants somebody.
Oh, see, I don't know. I never even, the idea of it sounds great because I used to say like, oh, I would just want someone that wants to come to my house, cook with me, have a sleepover.
That's hard to find.
Yeah.
They will come over and do the duty and leave, and then you can truly be friends with benefits. And you can hang out in group settings and stuff. But to ask a man to come and like do husband or boyfriend stuff and not, like, no, it ain't gonna happen.
Well, I never asked. I mean, I had the times where it was like that, I'm not doing the duty thing, but just doing the pretending
that
we were just
so different.
Yeah, we were just, hanging out, and it was like the best. But I knew it wasn't going to go anywhere because I wasn't ready to like get in a relationship. But it was like, man, that really like, and that's probably why I didn't do the duty. It's just because I didn't want to get my feelings so wrapped up into them because they were already there. It was like someone that I could see something with, but life seasons were completely different. So
I think that's some of the trauma that came out of my first marriage is that I'm able to compartmentalize sex so easily. Unfortunately,
yeah. For me, it's like now it's
instead of it feeling, because the way that you feel is the correct way. Like you should feel more attached to someone, and that be like, hey, I'm not gonna have that with them because then I'm putting something where it doesn't belong. Mm-hmm. Like But for me, like the trauma that I had, the sexual trauma that I had coming out of that, I had to learn how to survive there, and so it kind of just trickled into my life afterwards. So now I'm having to reteach myself. Which, I mean, I really have. Over the last
So
over
probably
the
not
last,
the
like,
friends
4
in
years.
Probably not the friends with benefits thing anymore, Leah. We probably have to.
I
let
don't
that go.
I don't really have one anymore. I'm
Not telling you what to do.
Wait,
just saying.
no, but I have gotten really good, and I've done it a couple of times where I've been in a situation where, you know, like things get heated, and then I was like, you gotta go. And they
There
were
you
like,
go.
wait, hold on. What do you, like, for real? And I'm like, yeah, for real. Like, I'm really not that into it.
I'm proud of you. And I say that because that's always been how I have been. And then I've met, and you know, when you're just going through your experience, you don't know. And then I met, one of my friends was saying like, oh, how do you just say that in the moment? I'm like, I just say it. But if that's not your experience, it is different.
Oh, I didn't say it so many times.
Yeah. And that, yeah, it's just,
I didn't say it so many times, and I don't think it's talked about enough. And I know we're going way off, but I think it's talked about enough how often women sleep with someone who they never wanted to sleep with, just because they don't want to hurt anyone's feelings, or they don't want to seem like they're being aggravating or annoying, or that they're called a tease. There's so many times when women sleep with someone and they didn't really want to.
Yeah, I could feel that. I think that happens a lot. I think men will say, "Oh, well, same," but it's like, I think they have a different. It's a totally different.
Because every time we do it now, that's a stigma on us.
And that is 100% like in my era of like, you know, setting boundaries and always from the jump. But I agree, like now it's been like over a year since I've dated. I haven't had anyone even in my bed, not even a sleepover, like over a year.
Since I've been in Nashville, it's like I'm like a real middle-aged woman with cats.
Except for its dogs.
Yeah, except for they are dogs.
Yeah. No, but I agree. I think sometimes, and that literally goes back, and I'll kind of tie it back. I think that literally goes back to as someone that like women, and I think all of us, but women, we do truly sometimes just kind of only see it through this lens. Like, well, what will they think? What will everyone feel? Like, will this make it awkward? The self-abandon piece,
yes.
It ties back to that. It's not even about intimacy and like, am I going to do this? It's about everything in our life, like moving through, making decisions to self-abandon instead of saying, you know what, I don't really want this.
And not having your own identity, your identity being in something else outside
like,
of you.
Yeah, exactly. The identity, I'm a wife, so this is just what I do. Oh, I'm the woman and I brought him to my home, so this is what I do.
You're exactly right.
So it's not even about that specifically. It's like we have to say like, okay, I'm in this space and I'm going to ask for what I truly want. So when you train yourself to say, you know what, this isn't it, I think you need to leave. It's not to be disrespectful. It's to not self-abandon. And
I'm respecting myself.
Yeah, you're respecting yourself. And the wild thing is, and I don't know if you, but me personally, I've always been like that. And the amount of, I think men actually like it more.
Oh, it's hard to get rid of them then.
Yeah, because I even had like now we're way off topic, but I even had, and one of my buddies was there, this married man, and I never would talk to a man that is dating someone or married or anything. And I didn't know he was married because he wasn't wearing a ring and we were on the boat, whatever. And then he was like trying to hit me. I'm like, no, I wouldn't do that. Like, you have a wife. Mm-hmm. And he's like, well, she doesn't know. And I was like, I wouldn't do that to her. He's like, you don't know her. I'm like, I don't need to.
Yeah, but
like,
I could be her.
Yeah, like I wouldn't, it wouldn't even, I just don't even like that idea. And so I feel like, but then he's like, well, now I think I like you even more. Like, it's like.
Married men are the worst.
So I guess to say, if anything, like, you know, self-respect is honestly like all around the better way to go.
It's also actually being honest with yourself.
100%.
And that's really hard to do.
No, I mean, I feel like it's the hardest thing. And I think even accepting getting divorced, and we'll wrap it up, is like, that's the thing. You have to accept that your life that you built isn't yours forever, isn't perfect, isn't what you thought. And I'm going to ask you this last question just to kind of close out. Okay. So if the woman you were in your marriage met the woman you are now, what do you think she would say to you?
That's a really good question, and I've never thought about that. She wouldn't believe. She would not believe who I am. I don't think she would say much of anything because she spoke everything that she thought, but because she lived in fear. So I don't think she would believe that I am who I am. I don't know how to explain that any better than that. Like, she would just be like, nah.
That you would never be that
Right.
way. And it's two completely different people. I always think like the woman that I was in my marriage. I mean, there's parts of her, of course, is so different than who you become on the other side. So I just want to tell Leah, thank you so much for being vulnerable and sharing your story on the pod.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And I know that there's women that can, and even men to hear this, like you got left and it shook everything up. And I know there's men that listen that their wife left and they're like, I had no clue. And you're kind of giving the woman's perspective of that side of the story where you're just like, no, we got to make this work.
Yeah.
And sometimes it doesn't. And there's something better on the other side. And it will all work out. And so if anyone's listening that's starting over, that relationship's ending, I know it feels like you just want to force it and make it fit because you want that life to stay the same. But I will promise you that the person that you're going to become on the other side of dealing with everything that it takes, you're going to have some good stories. You're going to have some wild messes, literally. You're going to have to figure out Facebook dating, apparently.
Well, and sometimes you say you like adventure in life, and the adventure is not always in the forest.
Yeah. So thank you so much. Oh, I also want to remind you quickly, please, please, please share the episode and go rate it 5 stars. It helps other people find the podcast. You know, people are all loving the wild mess and they want to hear all about it. So it would mean so much. Thank you for listening to Wandering the Wild Mess. You matter.